I don't know what's sadder, the fact that it took me 2 years to review another episode from this show, or the fact that there still hasn't been a Halloween-themed episode of this show yet. After doing some research some of the episodes could be Halloween related, mainly the basket episodes from season 3, but looking into it, it doesn't really feel like Halloween related, and when it comes to the horror aspect, Bluey is way farther away from that, and the closest of what this episode has to offer is bats, but more specifically fruit bats. The premise is that Bluey really wants to be a fruit bat, but she can't, and the fact that she can't sleep even with her father trying to make her sleep by reading a story, but that didn't work out. And when it comes to Bluey's father, he really wants to be a football player, but unfortunately he doesn't have time with the work that he's been doing for the family. Bluey's mother tells her that when Dad goes to sleep, he dreams about being a football player or playing football, and this gave Bluey the idea by dreaming while being a fruit bat. And just like every other 7-minute episode from the show, it always ends happily ever after, with Bluey and her father enjoying themselves after the dream they had, especially since that they coexist in the dream together. Now, back then when I reviewed these episodes for occasions, with this being occasional when it comes to the Halloween season, honestly, this is mostly the closest that Bluey would tackle when it comes to Halloween/horror material, even though that it's farther away from horror material. But at the end of the day, when it comes to kids who are Bluey's age, would definitely want to be a bat, even though they will never find out the true indications of a bat until they get older and older. But centering around kids' imagination, it's always bound for kids to wanting to be an animal, especially a bat, to where that before they get older and older, they really want to savor on the enjoyment of being a bat. And when it comes to Bluey's father wanting to be a football player or playing football, honestly, considering the world building, even if I do not know much about the world building in a show for kids, I'm going to assume that Bluey's father really didn't have a lot of time, since that he put all of his focus on his wife and of course 2 kids. From my point of view, if this show didn't center around family, obviously it wouldn't even work when it comes to the likability of the characters, but if it somehow succeeded on that, it would probably make me see that Bluey's father would try to do anything else when it comes to hobbies and whatnot, but the more I see it, it's gonna be a lot more complicated, and if it manages to succeed on one person having multiple talents instead of just one talent that he should take pride in, it will have been the biggest possibility of a character's dreams coming true with multiple talents with their imagination putting into play. I mean, it's not a bad idea to showcase towards kids for this show, but considering that Bluey got a lot of popularity when it comes to her and not mostly her father, even though that her father is popular in some regard, I'm not even close to being surprised that the bonding between Bluey and her father, along with the family, is really stupendous in this show. Granted, I'm not on board with it, but still, they really did a good job. Now, when it comes to how everything else with this show functions after watching the episodes previous, but not a lot, there was more of a reason onto why I wasn't really interested into getting into Bluey, and just because this is well, already the next My Little Pony Friendship is Magic when it comes to grown men enjoying a show for little kids. Lightning never strikes twice, especially when this show is being produced and made by an Australia company rather than the company that made My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I'm just saying, I've have other options despite taking my time with them, and sitting through this show isn't a chore, but at the end of the day, I only reviewed this episode just to be nice towards the people who actually enjoyed my Bluey reviews, which aren't a lot in the past. So, all I can say is that reviewing this episode was the closest of me finding one that centered around Halloween animals, and since that bats are really accurate when it comes to Halloween, this is the best that I can do, despite the fact that the Fruitbats aren't horrifying. This show is supposed to be charming, yes, but at the same time, outgrowing charm after going through charm multiple times, I'm really getting exhausted of sitting through it multiple times. I mean, it's not the fault of the show, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to regain charm again when it's a different show. Besides, if I really enjoyed this show so much, I will review all the episodes, but it'll be really unlikely. Especially since that while the show is supposed to be educational and charming, it's really not worth my time on reviewing it since other options are superior. I'm just saying. This is mostly the best of me reviewing an episode from this show, and when it comes to the best episodes, sorry, it's really unlikely if I'm willing to review those. The only way I'm gonna be reviewing more episodes from this show is if someone pays me on Patreon when it comes to weekly people for me to review 5 episodes from this show. Yeah, I do want money as usual, but at the same time, I don't have passion when it comes to this show. And if people who have passion with this show, good for you. But at the same time, my passion is focusing on other projects right now, since that I'm into them more than Bluey. When it comes to how I feel about My Little Pony, at the end of this year, you're gonna get your answers. Since that, with this being, well, obviously becoming the next My Little Pony for adults to enjoy, again, lightning doesn't strike twice, even if this and My Little Pony were made by different companies. All I can say is that this is the best of me of reviewing the Bluey episodes, and that's also in favor of next week's episode from a cartoon that I haven't talked about before, and it's mostly in favor of other episode ideas to, well, it's best that I'm reviewing it than never, which same applies to this episode. I'm giving this episode a 6.5 out of 10.